Namaste. I welcome you all to this podcast session in educating younger minds about Sanatana Dharma. Recently, there has been a decline in interest, practice, and respect of our own religion. Many of us lack understanding of our own religion. Hence, Aham Brahmasmi, a unit of Dakshinamnaya Sri Sharada Peetham, with the blessings of Sringeri Ubhaya Jagat Gurus, has come forward to educate younger minds through a podcast session. This session is going to be a 30-minute long question answer session, and we have Sri Avyukt Krishna in this helping us in this endeavor. Namaste, Krishna ji.
Namaste.
The notion that religion is unnecessary in modern age is gaining grounds, and many youngsters believe that God and religion is a superstitious belief. Could you please throw light on this concept?
Yes. So, the first thing we need to understand while talking about this is that people use the words faith and religion interchangeably, but that's not entirely true. Now, faith does form a very important part of religion, but as far as Sanatana Dharma is concerned, this is a way of life that has been established by our ancestors, by our Rishis, purely based on scientific facts. Now, if we take something like yoga, okay, it wasn't until the 20th century that modern researchers started doing research on yoga. Modern science, as we know it, started conducting experiments with all the technology available to try and understand, okay, if this pranayama is done, what is the effect on the brain? What is the effect on the heart? Or if this particular asana is practiced, what are the benefits we can get out of this? Now imagine thousands of years back, our rishis were curious about this fact, and through their own experience and through their own experiments, they developed a system which we today call yoga, wherein just by controlling your breath, just by regulating your breath, controlling your lifestyle, and by keeping your body in certain postures, you can make miraculous things happen within your body. Now, if you're calling the people who are doing research into this scientists, what should we be calling the people who discovered this for the very first time? The modern scientists are researching, but our rishis have already searched and found the truth. So there are multiple examples like this. Let me give you another fact from the Puranas. So there is this one concept that you will see in all Puranas, that the time in Manushya is different from the time in Devaloka. 1 year in Manushya is 1 day in Devaloka. This is a concept. Now, when you look at it on the face of it, you might wonder, how is this difference happening? How can it be possible that time is different here and time is different in the Devaloka? But modern scientists agree that this is possible. Due to a phenomenon called time dilation, time can operate differently in different parts of the universe. Now, how did our ancestors know this thousands of years back, and how were they able to factor this into the Puranas? You see, any field of knowledge, if you take mathematics, the Bodhayana Sutra talks about Pythagoras' theorem 1000 years before the time of Pythagoras. Sayanacharya in his Veda Bhashya, while commenting on a particular mantra about Surya Bhagavan, about the sun, he actually calculates the time it takes for sunlight to reach earth. So, in all these fields, India has always been ahead of the rest of the world. In fact, there is a quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein, where he says, "We owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no scientific discovery could have been made."
True.
Right? So this was our civilization, this was our science. But where science stops today, modern science, it just gives you the facts and leaves you at that. But our rishis also gave us a way of living based on this science. How can we bring this scientific principle into our daily lives to ensure that we and society can live happily? Now, if this was such a beautiful system, what happened? What changed? Why is it that today it is not being perceived this way? So, when we look at the history of India, there were a lot of invasions. For thousands of years, India has been constantly attacked by foreigners. And one of the things these foreigners did was that they destroyed libraries. They burned down entire libraries containing manuscripts. They killed the intellectuals. People had to go into hiding. They forced their way of life on us. And because of all of this, the intellectual wealth was not very effectively transmitted to the next generation. At all times during history, there have been Mahatmas, there have been great souls who knew the intricacies behind this dharma, who knew the science behind this dharma. But that number started reducing over time, because when people are living in such an adverse situation where they're every day they wake up and they're fighting for their life, you can't expect them to, have a peaceful setting and make sure that this knowledge reaches the next generation. But one thing that our ancestors did, for which we should worship them, is sometimes, even at the cost of their own lives, even by sacrificing their own lives, they have kept this dharma alive and they have brought it down and given it to us. Now we live in a more peaceful time. We are not under the rule of a foreigner. We have access to books, we have access to internet, and through these uh, tools that we have available with us today, through this technology, we have the opportunity to restudy our Vedas, to study our Upanishads, and to rediscover the scientific wealth of India. So, in my opinion, as far as Sanatana Dharma is concerned, it is not in conflict with science. In fact, only if you understand science, you will begin to see how advanced our dharma is. So, this misconception that religion is just faith. Again, I'm not disregarding the fact that faith is a part of religion. But to say that Sanatana Dharma is just a bunch of superstitions and beliefs and faiths is not accurate. And once we educate people about this, then that mindset can change.
This is a beautiful answer, and I'm sure youngsters will understand that uh, science came from the roots of our Vedas,
Of course.
and it's a wonderful justification.
Yes.
Krishna ji, another challenge we are facing currently in the society is the shift in attitude of the youngsters. How is this impacting religion?
Yes, so this shift in attitude of youngsters is a major problem, not just for religion, but also for society as a whole. Now, this shift is mainly because of two reasons. The first one is ego, and the second one is desire. Now, just to quickly understand what the ego does, it takes any situation in our lives, it takes the facts around us, and it builds a story in such a way that it makes us look good. It basically writes a story with us as the main character. So let's say a student does very well in their exams. They say, I prepared well, so I did well. The same student does not do well in exams, the blame is immediately shifted. No, the teacher was strict, the person, the examiner was strict, or the paper was difficult. But when a student scores good marks, they don't say the paper was easy, so I scored good marks. Right? If you take the same in a corporate setting, when you get a promotion, you say, I worked hard for it and I deserved it. But when you don't get the promotion, it becomes office politics. When you get a promotion, you don't say, no, it's actually because my boss really likes me, that's why I got this promotion. So this is what the ego does. Okay, it takes facts and twists it to make a story that makes you look good. Now, what social media and this modern way of thinking does is that it inflates this ego. The ego is already a problem, on top of which this ego is inflated to the extent that people become delusional. So, like I mentioned already, it's clear that your ego makes you see things differently. So, the bigger your ego, the more delusional you are. Okay, this is the first problem. The second problem is desire. This actually ties back into the science point as well. Now, there are some people who say, the reason I don't believe in religion, the reason I don't want to follow dharma is because of the lack of empirical evidence. And if you give me that evidence, I'm willing to follow. Okay, fair argument. Let's keep dharma aside for a moment. It is a scientifically proven fact that using your phone at night or watching TV in a dark room is bad for your eyes. It damages your eyes. It also messes up your sleep cycle, and it gives you multiple health problems. This is a scientifically proven fact that nobody can deny. Now, how many people still continue to do this? So the argument that the moment we get logic, we will follow it is not true for everyone. There are genuine people like that, but it's not true for everyone, because once we give you this scientific justification, you will just find another excuse, because your desire has become so strong that you are even willing to harm yourself for the fulfillment of your desire. So this mix of ego, that is, I know everything and I will do everything to justify my ego, combined with desire to get what you want, becomes a dangerous combination. Now, how does our dharma approach the same thing? Our dharma teaches us respect your elders, respect your guru, you do namaskara to them, and this is a way of keeping your ego in check, so that you respect the people around you, you respect the people who have lived on earth for longer than you have, and you keep your ego in check. But at the same time, it doesn't make you feel bad, because our dharma also teaches you that there is divinity within you. Now, what idea could be more empowering than the fact that there is divinity present within you?
Wow.
So, on one hand, our dharma teaches us that there is divinity, so we feel empowered. And on the other hand, it also teaches us to see the divinity around us and have a respect and not be egoistic. Secondly, when it comes to desire, our dharma also gives you the space for desire, kama and artha. Kama is pleasure, artha is material wealth. There is a space for this, but it needs to be kept in a certain way. It has to be within a certain discipline, so that you fulfill those desires without harming yourself and without harming the society around you. Okay, this is the outlook of dharma. And the reason people are not able to see this is, one, the lack of education, and two, they don't even realize how big of a problem desire is, because social media propels this idea that fulfillment of your sensual pleasures and desires is the only goal in life, or beyond that, material wealth. But there is no talk, there is no education or discussion about things that are beyond this. So I think once we educate people on this and also make them understand how dangerous desire is, the attitude shift will also slowly happen. But now that some damage has already been done, it is going to take a while for us to repair that. So we should give it the time and let it run its course.
Such a great message to the younger generation, especially in the era where we are clinging on to social media and gadgets. You said they are all nothing but the boosters of ego and desire.
Yeah.
This will really provide a great understanding to the younger generation. One of the reasons why youngsters don't appreciate religion is because they're forced into it.
Okay.
Does Sanatana Dharma give space to this question?
Yes, so as far as asking questions is concerned, 100% yes. Sanatana Dharma does give us the space to ask questions. If you see Bhagavad Gita, it is a question answer between Arjuna and Sri Krishna. In fact, the format is such that Bhagavan will teach the Gita. At the end of one adhyaya, one chapter, Arjuna will get a doubt, and the answer to that doubt becomes the next chapter, becomes the main theme of the next chapter. This is how the Bhagavad Gita is. If you take Ramayana, the very first shloka of Ramayana is tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidamvaram naradam paripapracha valmikir munipungavam. So the very first shloka of Ramayana tells us that how did this come to us. It came through the fact that Valmiki Maharshi asked a question to Narada Muni. If we see our Upanishads, we'll see the same format. And it's not just question answer. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a sabha, that is, Janaka Maharaja organizes a sabha where there are many Maharishis, and together they sit and discuss, and they arrive at the highest truths. So, discussing, asking questions, deliberating, debating, all of this is 100% accepted and encouraged in Sanatana Dharma. But what we should be careful is, just because there is a right to question, you should not abuse that right. You should be very mindful of what is the tone, what is the attitude with which you ask a question. If you are going to ask a question with the attitude that I am here to learn and I'm curious about the subject, I want to know more, then definitely there is space for that. But if you are coming here with the attitude that you are wrong, I am going to prove you wrong. And with that attitude, if you ask questions, you are not going to learn anything. And this is not just with dharma. Even if you are going to an engineering college, if you go to the college with the attitude that my professors don't know anything, the principal doesn't know anything, the education system doesn't know anything, and all of this is a fraud, and I want to prove that this is all wrong. If you go into the engineering college with that attitude, you will not learn engineering, right? So for any vidya, for any jnana, this curiosity and attitude is very, very important. Second point, to whom do you ask this question? Okay, if you have a doubt about accountancy, you should ask a chartered accountant. If you have a doubt about medicine, you should ask a doctor. So it's also very important to know that Sanatana Dharma is a very vast subject. Okay, it's not one very small branch of knowledge, it's a very vast subject which covers every aspect of our lives. So if you have a particular question, you should also make sure that the person you are asking this question to is equipped and qualified to answer your question. Now, even after this, you are asking with the right attitude, the person is qualified to answer your question. There are a few more problems. One, what if you are not qualified enough to understand the answer? If you are in high school and you're asking a PhD level question, even if the answer is correct, even if you have the right attitude, you will not be able to understand it, and this is nobody's fault, right? So this also has to be kept in mind, that maybe I don't have the foundational knowledge to understand this correctly. A lot of times this happens to us when we study the Shastras. Something long back we would have heard, maybe 1 year back, 1.5 year back, and at that time we would have just heard it, we will remember it. But much later in our lives, in a particular situation or while reading something else, once our knowledge has improved, we will suddenly remember that, oh, 1 year back my guru told this, now I fully understand it. Right? This happens in any field of knowledge. So this also has to be kept in mind. The fourth point is, let's say all these conditions are met, you get an answer, you understand it, you still don't agree with it for whatever reason, that is also okay. But because of that, you shouldn't dismiss the whole of the dharma. Let's say you come to Bangalore, one person is rude to you, you cannot conclude that all Bangaloreans are rude, right? That is not correct. There was this one specific person who is rude to you, so you can't say the whole of Bangalore is bad. Similarly, when there is something in the Shastra that for whatever reason you don't agree with, you can respectfully say, okay, this particular point, right now, maybe I don't understand, or maybe I have understood it well, but I don't agree. But I'm not going to disrespect it. And there is so much else, I mean, so many other things that you can still learn. So this attitude is very important. And to just take something minimalistic, to just take one minute point that you don't like, and to say the whole dharma is wrong, or to say that the whole system of knowledge is wrong, all this is not a very good attitude to have, not just with religion, but even otherwise. Because our acharyas are willing to give you that knowledge. Even if you see commentaries, bhashyas on the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, there is a tradition or a format called Purva Paksha Siddhanta. So what happens is that a person, the Purva Pakshi, asks a question, and the Acharya who is teaching respects that question and gives an answer. Oh. The Acharya doesn't say, no, you're not supposed to ask these questions. The Acharya gives the questioner the respect that they deserve, and they are willing to sit down with you and help you understand if you are willing to learn. And on top of all of this, if you see towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, after teaching the entire Jnana, Bhagavan says to Arjuna, Vimrishyeta dasheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. He says, oh Arjuna, I have taught you everything that needs to be taught. Now ponder over it deeply and then do as you wish. So Krishna even gives you the freedom that once you have understood this and pondered over it deeply, you cannot say this in the first adhyaya of Gita. Okay, but towards the end, once you have spent many years understanding the Shastra, once you have spent a significant amount of time in assimilating this knowledge, after that, the Shastra is giving you the freedom to do what you think is the right thing to do after you have properly understood this. So that is the amount of freedom that our Shastra gives us.
Beautiful. Staying humble, mutual respect, and Guru considering a Shishya's question and Shishya respecting the Guru. These are all the values that Dharma teaches us, and this is a great answer to the younger generation. We have discussed logic, science, and reasoning. Could you please tell us the role of faith in religion?
Yes. So, what is faith? It simply means that you have trust or confidence in someone. Now, let's say you fall sick, you go to a doctor. The doctor prescribes a medicine for you, and you take that medicine and you get better. Now, this is complete faith. You have faith in the body of knowledge called medicine, and you have faith in the person who is the representative of this body of knowledge. Okay, so you have faith in both of these. So you don't sit and research whether the doctor has given me the right medicine, or you don't sit and try to figure out, okay, is this the right medicine to give for this particular disease? Okay, this has been prescribed, doctor has studied that, and they have been giving it to us. This is faith. Now, you can either operate like this, or you can go a little bit deeper and try to understand your particular ailment, and maybe do a course or something like that and understand things slightly better. Or if you insist that you want to know everything that the doctor knows, your only option is to study MBBS, and that takes time. So, what we need to understand is there have been great Mahapurushas, there have been great Acharyas who have understood this truth and lived this life and shown a path to society. We, if we follow it directly, if we just walk in their footsteps, that is called faith. But if we insist that no, I want to learn for myself, I want to experience for myself, Shastra is ready to teach you. Okay, and to what, however deep you want to go. Sometimes a lot of people do this where they start studying the Shastra, or let's say you start studying Bhagavad Gita. Initially, you get 3 very good insights. Okay, you apply that in your life. You think about it, ponder over it deeply, and you apply it in your life, and it gives you good results. Now you study it again, you get 2 more new insights. Now these insights, you don't understand it as perfectly as you understood the first 3. But now, because there is a track record, because in the past the Gita Jnana has been a great source of inspiration to you, you are willing to give it a try. Even though you don't fully understand it, you are willing to operate on the faith that this jnana is true, and let me understand in effect. I will apply it in my life, and I will get the benefit of it. So this is how faith and reason work together. Or if you insist that only once I completely understand everything, only then I will apply, that is not possible, because at what point can you say that you have completely understood Sanatana Dharma? We took the example of medicine. Doctors continue to educate themselves much after their degrees are done. It is a constant learning process. So nobody can say only once I have fully mastered this body of knowledge, then I will start applying it. So first we do some inquiry. If you are willing to directly take it on faith, great. Or we do some inquiry, see that there's some truth to it, and then we start slowly applying, and on the other hand also try to deepen our understanding. So this is where faith and reason can go together. This is the approach that our Shastras also recommend.
So you say faith, that is Sharanagati, is the first step to learn anything great. So once you surrender, you go to a greater learning.
Right.
Yeah. Why should I follow Dharma? Today's youngsters' question is always, what's in it for me? Could you please tell us about that?
Okay. So the first thing we need to understand is that we live in a society. Okay, we don't live alone. We live in society. So it's very important to lead our lives in such a way that it doesn't cause problems for us and for others. And why is this important? Because if others start living in a way that causes problems to us, then we get worried. So naturally, it's our responsibility to not harm others or to not disturb the lives of others. Now, I'll give you one example. When we drive a vehicle, let's say we have a vehicle at home, we want to drive it. You can't just take the vehicle and go. First, you have to learn how to drive the vehicle and get a driving license. So, first, you have to prove that you have the ability to drive this vehicle safely. Even though it's your car, even though you are certified to drive it, you cannot drive however you want. There are certain traffic rules that you have to follow. You have to respect traffic signals. And this is the only way that we can ensure our own safety and the safety of everyone around us. Generally, we think when someone is late to a place and we ask them what happened, they say, I got stuck at the signal. And the blame always falls on the red light. So everyone says that red traffic signal is the problem. That is the reason we are late. Okay, in that case, let's do one thing. Tomorrow, all signals will make it green. What do you think is going to happen? The whole street is going to become completely chaotic. Forget reaching on time, you will not even reach your destination safely. So, this system is required. It is the path of least resistance. And this system needs to be put in place for everyone's safety. Now, if some people, I'm not even saying everyone, even if 10% of the population starts saying it's my car, I will drive it the way I want, who is the government to tell me that I have to follow traffic rules? This causes a disturbance to the rest of the 90% as well. Okay? For no fault of the 90%, they are put to so much trouble. So, first, we have already established why dharma is required. We need someone to systematically tell us what to do and what not to do. And it's not, the attitude cannot be that everyone is doing it, so it's okay if I break the rules. No, because even if a few people break the rules, that's going to impact everyone negatively, right? That's not what a good human being does. So this knowledge to be able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong is what dharma teaches us. And we also always focus on the red light, right? We always have this issue that why don't you follow religion? Because there are restrictions. It tells me not to do this, it tells me not to do that. That is why I don't follow religion. But it also gives you so many green signals. It allows you to be happy. It allows you to celebrate. If we see in our dharma, just over the past few months, how many festivals do we have? We have Krishna Janmashtami, Vinayaka Chaturthi, we have Navaratri, we have Deepavali. So it's not that the Shastra wants us to be very serious and sad and devoid of all happiness in life. Shastra is giving us a reason every month. There are festivals every 2 weeks, every month. Shastra is giving us a reason to celebrate, giving us a reason to be happy, but within the boundaries of morals and ethics. Okay? Because even kama and artha, like I mentioned earlier, are considered purusharthas. These are things that humans pursue and want to attain. So, what is the approach that you take? You fulfill your desires, but within the framework of dharma. You get kama through dharma, and you get artha, which is material wealth, through dharma. So, it's not wrong to earn money. It's not wrong to want to lead a comfortable life, but you have to do it within the boundaries of dharma. You have to be straightforward. You shouldn't cheat others. You shouldn't lie. There is this attitude that that is becoming more and more popular in today's world is anything that it takes. I'm willing to do anything that it takes. That anything cannot be in such a way that it affects others. That anything cannot cause disturbance in society, right? So this is what dharma teaches us. So what is in it for us is that even to just be happy in life is not possible without dharma. Now, in the modern world, one question can arise. We have law, we have the constitution. So, why do we still really need dharma? Okay, so the first point is nyaya or law is a manifestation of dharma. Okay, so that is one part. Now, the law can teach you not to steal or tell you that if you steal, this is the punishment. If you harm someone else, this is the punishment. But the law cannot teach you compassion. And if you want to believe that there is a society where everyone is not a criminal, that is a good society, then that is not valid. A society where people are kind to each other, people are empathetic towards each other, people want to serve, people are respectful, that is a good society. Not committing crimes is a basic requirement that law can take care of. But beyond that, to inspire us to lead good lives for our own selves and for the service of everyone around us, dharma is required. And through so many stories, through teachings, through the lives of Mahapurushas, dharma inspires us to live a good life so that all our desires and the ultimate fulfillment of life, which is moksha, can also be attained.
So, dharma teaches an individual the basic discipline, community living, celebration of life, and ultimately attain moksha.
Yes.
Very beautiful. Krishnaji, could you please summarize the whole session and give it in a nutshell to the youngsters?
Of course. So the first thing we saw is that science and dharma can go hand in hand, and there is so much scientific truths hidden in our shastras. And it's also very important to preserve our shastras, because science may not be able to give an explanation for it today, but maybe 50 years, 100 years from now, we might make so many more discoveries from the wealth in our shastras. So it's very important to understand that these two can go together, and it's also very, very important to preserve our shastras for the future. A second point was the fact that ego and desire should be kept under control. What social media and this modern way of life is doing is that it's giving a boost to your ego and boost to desire, but in the process we actually do things that harm ourselves. So that needs to be kept in check, and dharma teaches us how to do it. Thirdly, our dharma does give you a space to question, does give you a space to discuss, deliberate, and debate, as long as you're doing it with the right attitude and asking the right questions to the right people. So, fourth point was faith is good, and it helps you develop the right attitude to understand the Shastras. And once you start understanding, your faith actually deepens. And finally, it is not possible for us to function well as a society without the concept of dharma. So, even to be happy, even to lead a happy life, dharma is absolutely necessary.
It is indeed a thought-provoking session, and I look forward for many more sessions like this to understand the deeper aspects and values of our dharma. Um, Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaskar.